If this is your first encounter with this abridged reading of Mantak Chia's Taoist Secrets of Love, please follow the link in the description to part 1, as there is a preface which explains what this book is about and what my intention with sharing it in this format is. The reading continues. Chapter 3. The Biology of Esoteric Sex. Ordinarily, discharge of the seminal fluid completes the act of love. As soon as the fluid is spent, the body strains to replace it. The faster sperm is used, the more the body is forced to produce. Quite obviously, production of this nutritionally rich and psychically superpotent substance requires an enormous amount of raw materials. The reproductive glands receive these raw materials from the bloodstream. In its turn, the blood withdraws the precious elements from every part of the body, liver, kidney, spleen, etc., including the brain. Every organ pays heavy tribute to the glands that produce the sexual seed. Because a single drop of semen houses such prodigious life energies, frequent loss of fluid depletes the body systems of their most precious nutrients and speeds the inevitable physical decline into old age. Retaining the seed within the body is the first step to reversing this cycle, in which the male pays an unnecessarily stiff price for sexual satisfaction. Scientists have tried to improve upon Darwin's thesis by focusing on specific genetic impulses behind behavior that led to increased survival of an individual's gene pool. This correctly gives a lot of evolutionary power to our sexual impulses, but ignores the process whereby this sex energy is transformed into higher creative impulses of the mind and spirit. The evolved man directs his animal body and instincts with his mind and spirit. The scientists maintain the reverse is true. They are right, but only to the extent that man's evolution back to his original self is incomplete. Man is still bullied about by his biological urges. When man is complete and has truly integrated his still clumsy body with his mind and spirit, his total freedom of spiritual being is beyond the control of biological instinct. This does not violate the physical laws of the universe. It simply postulates that we are beings with the inherent power to cultivate our energy to a level of power where it allows us to direct our bodies freely. It is not mind over matter, as that implies a battle. It is more mind inside matter. The revelations of mind have allowed us to create nuclear bombs and send man to the moon, so why not use mind to direct its own body, which is immediately at hand? When men abuse the reproductive function, the secretions of the sexual glands are lost, resulting in mental and physical weakness, inability to concentrate, and a less tenacious memory. Sexual activity alters the body chemically. The reason this happens is because each gland in the body affects all the others. Thus, when sex hormones are stimulated, it stimulates the hormones secreted by the other major glands: adrenal, thymus, thyroid, pituitary, and pineal. The illusion when you are young is that you can stimulate your glands indefinitely, without paying a price for it. Sex seems like a bottomless well of bliss. It is, if you take the trouble to recirculate the sexual hormones within the body, instead of repeatedly ejaculating them. The Taoist goal of total integration of sexual impulse with the mind begins to make sense even to a Western intellectual when the connection between sexual activity, hormonal balance, physical health and personality are examined together. The evidence for health being powerfully affected by hormonal balance has been well substantiated, and is even now a major topic for cancer researchers in their efforts to understand how the mind and emotions control our immune system. The Taoists contend the critical factor is simply balance, that when male and female chi energies are balanced in the body, each cell will have the energy to function perfectly, and hormones do their job in making the body machinery run smoothly. The specific Taoist practice of sexual energy conservation and transformation is one of many designed to ensure that the internal equilibrium of the human energy system is so powerful that no outside force can destroy its inner balance. The Taoists thus see everything: hormones, sex, personality, health, and beyond that your spiritual destiny, linked inextricably together. That is the working of the Tao, which links the finite ordinary world of a Saturday night date to the explosion of a supernova light years away. The principle of the fusion of energy in both is the same. In olden times, the Taoist secret of secrets was the method of being reborn through a process of giving birth to your new self. When I first learned it, I didn't understand it, but later, in studying the endocrine system, I was able to see analogies. I realized that both men and women have the makings of male and female hormones, and that in effect they are each capable of having intercourse within themselves and giving birth to a new self. The most important connection in the male hormone system is between the testicles and the pituitary gland located between the eyebrows behind the forehead. These glands work together in the transformation of sexual energy, a fact that you will experience when you begin cultivating your sexual energy up. Your testicles and your pituitary gland will begin to pulsate together when the qing is cultivated properly, and is a sign that your glandular system is working harmoniously all the time, not just during sex. The pituitary gland, in turn, regulates the activity of the other glands. When they are in perfect harmony, they secrete an exceptionally fine nectar, a superfine hormonal substance undiscovered by scientists, which floods the nerve centers of the brain and helps create the feeling of bliss described by so many mystics. This is only one phase of spiritual development, but one that is powerfully affected by the balance of sexual energy in the body. Emotional stress especially causes untold harm, and it is a continuous injury to every cell. Life in our urban society subjects us to increasing doses of this potent poison. With frequent ejaculation, the benefits of sex begin to decline, and vitality ultimately plummets. The sexual big spender loses stamina, his vision begins to weaken, hair tumbles from his skull, he grows old before his time. The physical damage caused by expelling the sexual essence from the body is greatly alleviated only in couples or individuals who create and sustain a powerful emotional and spiritual love. Much evidence points to the link between harmonious sexual activity and the retardation of aging. Loving sex stimulates high-quality hormonal secretion. The presence of these hormones in the blood appears to slow the aging process. With Taoist cultivation, one produces unusually potent hormones because one focuses energy directly on the endocrine glands, stimulating them to much greater levels of activity. Because the hormonal energy is constantly circulated within the body instead of being ejaculated, a successful student of Taoist loving finds himself with ever-increasing amounts of energy as he grows older. Among humans, the female sacrifice of her bodily energy is unavoidable in the passage to birth. The male, likewise, must surrender the potency of his seed at least once to fertilize the female ovum. Nature warrants the sacrifice worthwhile, for it fulfills her goal of multiplying life. She intends the old to make way for the new, but amongst all material creatures only man has the force of will to oppose Mother Nature. The failure to direct our sexual energy upward is a failure to fulfill our deepest human potential. That is why unconscious sex with ejaculation of the male seed is a kind of mini-death, seen so often in the plant and animal kingdoms. 200 to 500 million sperm die upon a single ejaculation. The expenditure of subtle energy is even greater than these huge numbers suggest. If this spent seed leads to any kind of rebirth in the man or in the woman receiving new life, this loss or death is in harmony with nature. But without transforming these mini-deaths into a sharing, a love, a child, or a higher awareness of some sort, this act of sex becomes a mere killing of the potential life energy stored in the seed. The Chinese legends speak of a golden age when all men lived in harmony with nature and transmuted their seed up as naturally as you or I breathe. Whether or not this is literally true is irrelevant. The kernel of truth in the story is that man is capable of a much higher existence than what he now accepts. The story bears a striking resemblance to the biblical story of Adam and Eve's fall from grace after tasting the forbidden fruits of sexual love. In this sense, the end of the Taoist cultivation is to regain the lost paradise which still exists within every man and woman, their original nature. It is clear that sexuality plays a different role for humans than it does for animals, and it is critical that men and women become educated as to the possibility sex can play in their own evolution and thus affect the balance of nature as well.